On my first trip overseas last year, I said that America was back. Back at home, back at the table, and back to leading the world. In the year and a half that's followed, we've shown exactly what that means.
As President Biden following his 3-hour meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping, the question now is whether the world agrees with his statement, America is back. Two most powerful men on the planet talked about Taiwan and trade, along with the war in Ukraine and climate change. Bruen's here, former director of global engagement in the Obama White House. Brett, good to see you. There is this sort of spin from the White House that now we have some kind of détente between Xi Jinping and President Biden, and the Chinese are sort of playing along with that a little bit. Is there any reason to believe that the Chinese are going to change their behavior rather than just continue to tell President Biden what he wants to hear and then go about doing what they want?
I think that's the key point, Leland, is that Beijing wants to be able to, one, dial down the rhetoric, the temperature a bit. It gets them off the hook for some of the pressure coming both from here in Washington, other capitals that says, look, we have to do more to put China in a situation where it's not threatening its neighbors, it's not able to disrupt global markets. And yet at the same time, I think what we're seeing out of China are indications that they are proceeding with the very same plans. And you need only look at the Chinese Communist Party Congress that just took place, where Xi was saying it's full speed ahead towards the plans that we have put in place over the last several years. And that's concerning.
President Biden, all along this trip, from when he was in Egypt through when he was in Cambodia, now when he's in Bali, has talked extensively, almost sort of not exclusively, but certainly a majority of the time, about climate change, the needs to address climate change, on and on and on and on. Climate spending breakdown: United States, $34.7 billion. China alleges $297 billion. Who knows whether that number is really true or not. European Union, $155 billion. Are the Chinese sort of taking advantage of the president's almost singular focus on climate?
Well, this has been a contention both of President Biden and John Kerry, that, you know, we can set aside the abuses of the Uyghurs in Xinjiang province. We can set aside the abuses of civilians in Hong Kong. We can set aside the threats against Taiwan, and we can focus on a narrow set of issues. And first among them, obviously, is climate change. The problem with that is every time we do so, we allow China to portray itself as a reasonable, as a rational actor. And I think it is becoming more and more difficult for us to make that case, that we're going to just set aside these human rights issues and we're going to focus narrowly on climate change and be able to create the kind of impact both on that issue, but more broadly on U.S. interest. And I think it's you can't separate the two. We've got to acknowledge that what China is doing on these other fronts is certainly concerning where we want to focus.
I guess the flip side of this is, and we've done a lot about the Uyghurs and Chinese human rights abuses. That's one thing, and a moral responsibility. But if the Chinese take over Taiwan and change the world economy overnight in that way, it really won't matter whether it's a degree warmer or not. The world is completely changed overnight. I want to go back to what the president said. I said America was back in the table, back leading the world a year and a half later. That's followed. We've shown exactly what that means. And I'm confused. How is America in a more of a leadership role now than it was under President Trump, when the Chinese did come to heel a little bit? They were scared of what he could do. Kim Jong-un wasn't testing missiles, and Vladimir Putin wasn't invading Ukraine.
Well, I will push back a little bit on that notion that somehow leadership was better on the world stage under President Trump.
I'm not arguing leadership, and I'll give you the last word here. I'm arguing results.
Yeah, and look, I think China actually didn't deliver that much in response to Trump's sanctions. We got a few barrels of agricultural goods and not much else, despite Trump's contentions. That being said, though, I think what we are seeing is continuity from the Trump years, where Biden has largely kept in place some of those tariffs. But I will agree with you that we are not taking a strong enough line against Beijing, and we need to press harder, because otherwise we will repeat the lessons, unfortunately, we have not learned from Russia, which is if we don't deal with it now, we will see the consequences much later.
Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.